There are thousands of ways to set up this controller. It's almost impossible to know where to begin. For many people, they just want it to work like a normal gamepad. The Steam controller is capable of so much more than just a normal gamepad, but sometimes you just want it to work like a normal gamepad. Thankfully, the Steam controller has you covered, with a few options to get you that simulation. The best joystick emulation will be the joystick move option. This will allow you to emulate the joystick of the gamepad, and it even fools the game into thinking you're using a real joystick. To get the most control, you're going to have to adjust the trackpad for the game you're playing. If you're a beginner, I recommend using high haptic feedback. It helps you know what's happening with the controller. Make sure the output is right joystick and click action is set to right stick click. Then go to advanced settings. I recommend adjusting anti-dead zone first. Some games use a dead zone, which is a small area near the center position where output will be ignored by the game entirely. This is normally helpful since it prevents minuscule movements of the joystick from causing the camera to move by mistake. But if you're using the Steam controller, it can sabotage the custom dead zones that you set within the controller itself. Place your thumb in the middle of the trackpad and move it in any direction slowly. If it feels like you have to move your thumb by a large distance before the game even responds, increase the anti-dead zone. If moving your thumb by even a little bit causes the game to overreact, then you have added too much anti-dead zone and you should cut back on it. After that, you can make small adjustments to the anti-dead zone buffer in order to fine-tune things a little bit. In most games, you won't have to touch this, but in some games you may want to move it by just a tiny amount. Once that is done, you can use the dead zone slider. By adjusting the inner dead zone, you tell the controller how far your thumb needs to go before it registers input. By adjusting the outer dead zone, you tell the controller how far your thumb needs to go before it outputs the maximum value. If you feel like it takes too much movement of your thumb before the game starts to register your thumb, lower the inner dead zone. Do the opposite if the game camera moves even when you feel like your thumb is in the center. If you feel like your thumb has to go too far out on the outer reaches of the pad before you reach the maximum camera rotation, then lower the outer dead zone. You can also raise the outer dead zone if you feel like the opposite is true. Now, I adjust the stick response curve to something that feels right for you. There isn't really that much science to it, really. Just pick the one that feels best. I thought I was going to like relaxed curve, but you would expect that to give you more precision. Actually, I found that the aggressive curve felt better for me, but it might be different for you. Lastly, you can optionally turn adaptive center on. If adaptive center is on wherever you first touch the touchpad, that will be the new center. This is simply a matter of personal preference. Bear in mind that if you use adaptive center, you might have to readjust some of the other settings we just discussed. Here's something else that you might find useful. If you're playing an old PC game that does not support gamepad input, but you still want to emulate a joystick, instead of using right joystick as the output, use relative mouse. The controller calculates how fast the mouse should be moving to make it feel like a joystick. Setting it up is the same, except I would not use any anti-dead zone. because it's very unlikely that a developer will apply dead zone to a mouse. It just doesn't make much sense. You can also adjust mouse sensitivity in advanced options. Did you find this video helpful? Please drop a like and subscribe so I can make more. Also, leave a comment with questions or feedback and I'll try to answer as best as I can. You can also check out my other Steam controller videos. Anyway, thanks for watching.